All right, we're gonna turn it into a roll call vote. Holly? Yeah, I'm good. Here, present. Arnett? Not good. I was too tired to run. Diane? Diane. I'm here. Rob? No. Keith? Not here. May? Here. And, Mary? How did that part it say? You're Mary?
No, he's joking.
Yeah,
Demerit, John, I would,
Other members. They go, I don't know how to
you could just put, you, actually, we don't, I would just put at the bottom, John Fowler attended.
and.
Oh, yeah. And decide to stay, they didn't have to buy it.
Fellows, Vincent. And John of Adam.
Okay, so I just want to announce that Trevor is on, he's not present for attendance, but he's on to give us 10 cents.
Cool, thank you.
Just one notification, and perhaps you can work on it as she gives her presentation. It seems like there's only one mic working, so we can hear Susan clearly, but we can't hear anyone else.
Generally, when you turn them all on at the same time, they conflict, so you have to remember to turn yours on when you're speaking. We use these in the SLA, so I'm well versed in these mics. Is that better, Trevor? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you like you're in the background, but
Well, that's also probably the AC is running, which is.
I'll turn off the AC.
no, I just think it's a low volume. But we could hear Susan clearly when the meeting started, but for the purposes of
Loud, into the mic.
We'll come to leave it on.
I have the window open, we won't be able to, we won't be able to hear.
Okay.
He said, I want to plug, I can plug in a fan.
Oh, we moved over. Sorry.
Okay, that guy started.
Okay, all right, Kaylee, thank you again for joining us. Apologies that you can't see us. I appreciate your willingness to work with us here though. We're joined by our executive committee, a lot of chairs of the different committees and members of our executive board. And we wanted to invite you and give everyone a chance to look at the work that we've done together with you. Though there's some fresh eyes on this, so we thought it would be a good opportunity before the full board meeting next week to take a moment to take a look at this, see if folks have any questions, if there's anything we should review or revise or just discuss in general. So I'll hand it over to you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, happy to join and sort of go over what our plan is for this disparity report or equity report. Just sort of to preface, well, first, I am Kaylee Spencer. I'm a senior research associate with CUNY ISLG. I'm very excited to be working on this project. The stage that we're at now is still quite a bit of wrangling of the data to produce maps, but I will share with you our plan and what we're working with. It has turned out to be quite broad in its scope, which is part of why there's so much to wrangle at this point. But I think the pieces in here will make for a very interesting and hopefully useful report and story. let me see if I can share. Oh, I just requested that I be able to share my screen.
Yeah, okay, we're allowing.
Okay.
Do it now.
Okay. Can you see?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Let me just move these toolbars out of the way. And then, okay. So, the plan for this report is to sort of ground the story in a comparison between Manhattan CB3 and the other districts in the city, and really sort of note that your district has the largest income disparity of any district in the city, and sort of use that as the grounding for a report that then will focus more on internal disparities within the district. We can continue to pull in some cross-district stats and figures, but the main report, as we have proposed it, is going to be focused on within CB3 at the census tract level, what is going on. So the plan is to have this report display sort of spatially, geographically, using maps, how needs and resources are distributed across the district. So there'll be this sort of foundational map that has as the background either income distribution across the district, race, and that would be multiple different backgrounds for different race, ethnicity groups, age, and then also English proficiency. And so those would sort of be the background characteristics that we would then use to plot over that these other metrics, so we can get a sense of the relationship spatially between these different areas and demographic differences. So what we have proposed is sort of two parts. The sort of meat of it, the more exciting part, I think, would be an interactive data story. So basically, this would be a digital web product that would allow you to, as the user, to switch between those backgrounds yourself. So if you were looking at like, oh, I'm most interested to see how this is related to where people live based on income, you could do that. Oh, actually, I want to look at where the seniors are concentrated, then you could swap that out. So it'd be very interactive, and hopefully in that regard, a useful tool, so that, you know, as questions come up, you can turn to this as sort of a first check to see how things are looking. And then in addition to that, the plan is to sort of have some guiding text that will accompany these interactive maps and sort of point out key disparities or key findings within each of the domains that will be included. And then there would be a companion PDF report that would have stills of the map and follow that same sort of storyline with the narrative and pointing out the key disparities. So the 8 areas that we have landed on based on our conversations and available data are housing and affordability, economic and food security, seniors, education, health, environmental conditions, public services, and language access. So those would be sort of like the big catch-all topics. And then with each of those, we have some defined metrics that you could look at to overlay over the demographic maps and explore disparities. My next slides are going through the specific metrics for each of these domains, but especially since I can't see anyone, I'll pause and see if there's any initial questions.
I think if Andrea calls some people, that might be helpful.
Yeah. Does anyone have any initial questions or thoughts?
I probably will, but I think going through the other slides first. might be helpful.
Sure, okay, let's.
Great.
let's go on then. Thank you, Kaylee.
Okay, so the first domain is housing and affordability, and we have 6 metrics that we are working on for this. One of them is looking at severe rent burden. So this would be by census tract, where is there more and less concentration of people spending half or more of their income on rent. Similarly, we would look at housing overcrowding, looking at the subsidized housing properties and which ones are at risk of expiration, and what type of subsidized housing they are, looking at supportive housing, looking at new affordable construction and what their target affordability band is, and looking at housing quality. So looking at code violations, and where, how housing quality maps onto these different sort of demographic distributions across the district. For the second domain, economic and food security, we'll be, in a similar manner, looking at Medicaid, SNAP, and cash assistance enrollment per capita by tract. So there are 31, I don't think I sent this, maybe this is a known thing, but there are 31 census tracts within the district. So we'll have that level of granularity. We'll be able to see, like, where the districts with more safety net reliance are and how that relates to the other demographic features, characteristics. We'll also look at labor market conditions, so unemployment rate and median household income. We'll look at food insecurity and also emergency food provider locations. So see whether or not that is, like, the emergency food provider locations are actually concentrated in the tracts or areas where the food insecurity is highest. And then also looking at utility shutoff risk, to the extent that makes sense to do. That's one we're still sort of investigating. The third domain we have planned is around seniors. So looking at the supply of senior services, and obviously for this one, the most sort of salient demographic background would be the age, like where are seniors living. We will also look at senior pedestrian safety. We'll hone in on seniors to look at poverty specifically among seniors. And we will look at housing access. So the idea is to look at where the senior targeted units are concentrated, and also look at where the walk-up units without elevators are concentrated. The next domain is education. We're looking at PTA fundraising, so like per student PTA dollars, and different schools. the share of students in temporary housing for different schools. This next one, I'm still working out exactly what this will wind up being in the end, but the idea is to look at where pre-K, 3K, city-funded childcare sites and or seats are compared to the under 5 population. We will also look at students with IEPs, and we will also look at where different school types are located in the district. The 5th domain is health. We will be mapping pediatric asthma rates based on emergency department visits. We will be mapping a measure of general health status among adults, and as well as where federally qualified health centers are located. We will also be looking at diabetes prevalence, life expectancy by census tract, and the uninsured rate by tract. The next domain is for environmental conditions. We are planning to map the heat vulnerability index along with environmental justice areas and street trees. We are also planning to look at flood, like hurricane evacuation zones, and particularly look at that in relationship with affordable housing. We are going to map air quality and pollution sources. So using, like air quality, geographic air quality measures, as well as some point icons to show where some of the pollution source facilities are located. We will also be looking at street cleanliness ratings as well as rodent activity. The 7th domain is public services. We're planning to look at parks, and in particular, what facilities are available in given parks. So, who has access to what facilities, basketball courts or, whatever, park benches. I don't know. I'm sure all of the parks have benches, but I can't think of park things right now for some reason. And then we will also be looking at public transportation access, both subways and buses, and looking at libraries and library programming. And then the last domain is language access, which is really, this is also like one of our sort of underlying demographic layers. So this is really just sort of zooming in on this and breaking it out also by seniors. Yes. So the data for all of this is coming, it's all based on public data, a lot of stuff coming from ACS, so the Census, American Community Survey. We're using some data from the Furman Institute, various city agencies, lots of polls from New York City Open Data, some CDC data as well. And the sort of next steps are we're building the maps now. We need to complete that, and then we can, put them in both of their formats. And then the idea is to review with whomever is the appropriate audience among you guys to review it and make whatever edits and refine things. And then, yeah, turn it over to you all for you to use.
Sounds great. Thank you, Kaylee.
Mhm.
Start with Susan.
And can't tell you how excited I am about this. I want it done tomorrow so we can use it. Second number of questions. The census, on the map by census, are the census tracts, and which you won't have on the map, correct?
Yes,
So, as you know, we have also divided the district into 10 sub areas. And each of those areas align with census tract boundaries. And I'm wondering if on the map, will it be an interactive map where we could take like a number of census tracts and combine them together to get the stats for that boundary? Because I know that, I've seen this done on other maps. So I just think it would be useful to both be able to look at census tracts and also to be able to look at the 10 sub-districts that we've defined because they are neighborhoods.
is that the same as the NTAs?
Not at all.
Okay.
Absolutely 100%. That was done without any community input. The
Got it.
ones I am talking, you can see I get passionate about that. The ones I am talking about are on our website under resources. I think I mentioned them before. And this is something we had demanded for Create Forest. And there's an actual map there of dividing Community Board 3 into 10 tracts. And we define these because they are separate neighborhoods. And each of the boundaries of these are also boundaries of census tracts.
Great. Yeah, I think that would be not a big lift to include, and maybe we can just have it as like an additional layer that you can turn on or off, like if you want to
Yeah.
see the boundaries of those 10 zones.
That would be great. If you have any trouble finding that stuff on our website, let me know.
Okay, I will.
For seniors, so we have quite a number of NORCs. And some of them, and some that are not NORCs, probably some of our lowest income seniors are not NORCs. And probably not even legally accounted for.
Hmm.
Then we have NORCs that are middle income or middle income, upper middle income. So when you look at seniors, that was this story of, having one arm in the refrigerator on the fire. And when you look at seniors as a whole, I think looking at them by census tracts might be very important because if you just average in everything, you're gonna have a lot of these lower income seniors. And then you have like in Grand Street where, nobody's poor, but it's a norm.
Mhm.
Grand Street co-ops. So
Yeah.
I just want to mention, our income diversity is, sort of reaches down into different levels.
Yeah.
For utility risk, which I think I've mentioned this before, I don't think you can do that accurately with income because like we have 22 ranch developments, none of them pay for electricity, so they won't be at risk. You have rent control people like me who do not pay for electricity, so they're not at risk. So you're gonna have at least, and I don't know about the various types of subsidized housing, who pays electricity and invested. But it seems like, just taking the 22 night shift, that's gonna be a good number of lower income people that are lower income, but they will never be at risk of losing electricity because they don't pay for it.
Right. Yeah, we did talk about that last time. We haven't gotten to that one yet, so I
Right.
haven't been able to see whether or not it seems like it's useful or not. If it doesn't seem informative, then we can always leave it out. It may still be interesting to see where people who do have utility shut off risk are. So sort of like,
Right, that's true.
yeah,
If you have them, you can see the ones that other, who do pay, who are also.
right,
Um,
exactly,
just being aware that that's not the total population.
right.
And asthma, I think, that would be really interesting. I just wanted to let you know.
Yep.
That 25 years ago, we did, when Con Ed was closing their plant in Midtown and putting all the power down here, just north of 14th Street. We also did, some asthma surveys. I know it's the emergency room reports make it very difficult because you don't, I don't know if you know how much information you can get, like if you go to what used to be Beth Israel, do they tell you where the people live? If the people,
Uh-huh.
how people lived here, but they went to a.
Right.
Where that wasn't in our zip code, and I just remember that being a problem before, so I just wanted to mention that. A fun fact, during the study we did at that time, we did go to court, and the state actually gave us money to legally, manage the situation. And we were the very first case in Manhattan that was allowed to legally look at 2.5 particulates.
Cool.
Just a fun fact. I think for the schools, I think all of District 1 is a choice district, maybe, is that? I think so. Yeah, I would say everything so. And I think the IEP, looking at that will be really, really important. Trees, I just want to mention, probably most of the trees are on our 22 nitrogen developments, which have large campuses. The rodent activity, we do get the indexing reports from the Department of Health every year. We are the 4th highest district with rodent findings in the city. And most of them are city-owned properties, because private properties get fined and parks, libraries, any of those don't get fined. So that's generally where our problem is. When you look at buses, can you look and include how often they come? Because I know people like to always report on how fast they are. It doesn't matter if it's 3 minutes faster. So I just think that's an important issue to look at. And I'm done.
Sorry, just a clarifying question on that last one. So you mean like the frequency with like how long you would have to wait at the stop before
Yes,
the next?
yes,
Okay.
yes, exactly, because we have noticed that all the reports we get are on speed of buses. And if it takes you an hour to get from A to B, it doesn't matter if the bus is going really fast, if you have to wait a half hour, 20 minutes for the bus.
Right.
Okay, so that's it for me, and Paul,
Yeah, all right,
Trevor,
yeah, Trevor's our Parks Committee Chair.
Hi, thanks for the report. Just some questions, and I'm not looking to necessarily expand your scope, just trying to understand the data points that you're looking at. And I'm just going to go by number. The first one you pulled up, number 1, does it help? And do you look at evictions, or is that not something you're considering?
Yes, we are looking at evictions. Yeah, we are looking at evictions.
Okay. And for number 6, parks open space, or this is actually environmental conditions. The pollution is quite interesting, and I think it's very difficult to map and to sort of quantify, but people often forget about noise pollution, which the Chinatown has a lot of, and the Lower East Side. Uh, a lot of the noise pollution in Chinatown isn't necessarily from people or businesses or construction, although a lot of it is. A lot of it comes from the trains, traffic,
Mhm.
which people aren't necessarily going to call 311 on. So those 2 data points, I'm just trying to figure out how you're going to measure.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I'll have to look and see whether or not there's data that we can use for that.
Okay, because when we talk about pollution, we just kind of forget about that
Yeah,
avenue.
definitely.
We talk about sanitation, cleanliness, and this goes into 7. And you talk about parks and open spaces, but it also has a lot to do with the quality of that open space. If the parks are filthy and not usable, then okay, like it's not it doesn't matter if there's a park there. There's a playground on Captain Jacob Playground on Henry Street in Rutgers, which is a child's playground, which no one uses because it's used by people who take drugs and other things, so they want to convert it to a dog park because it's not being used. So although that park might be a block away for someone, it's not usable. So one way to find that info is on the park's page. They have a inspection score. So if you could take that, that's an easier way to go and look at every park to see what the inspection score, and not just the most current one, because sometimes they get a score and they clean it up and that last score shows a 95, but previous scores have been in the 60s. Bathroom accessibility is something I know the mayor's pushing that on. I mean, I think that has a lot. It's important if we look at that, the bathrooms per whatever. But if we could add that to the data point, that would be helpful. And are you using 3-in-1 complaints for a lot of these numbers that you have? There's some data there that might be helpful for you to consider.
We are using 311 complaints for some of this, primarily in the housing domain. We were cautioned against using it for like rat sightings, and things like that. But we have looked to use that, yeah.
Yeah, and I understand, because the other part about the rat sightings or public space is that people often stop using it, especially in poor neighborhoods. They just stop complaining because they're like, why am I calling 3-in-1 when nothing's going to happen?
Right.
Not really understanding you need data, you need 100 complaints in order to get some action. But
right.
So I understand that. I was just asking that question.
Yep.
Those are these things that I see.
Thank you for this.
If I can just comment, the public bathrooms is a really good idea, because
Yeah.
this is the time for us to be pushing for that.
Yeah, ever since they just announced that probably cost $2 million high-tech bathroom, which needs cleaning after 11 uses, but that's another story.
Do you have a question? Go ahead, yes.
Hi, can you hear me? Just speak up, I think. Yeah. Kaylee, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Okay, great. On the flood and resiliency, you can go back to where that's listed. I think it's under health.
Sorry, I have to extract a child. I will be right back.
Witching hour for kids right now, probably.
Sometimes they
I know.
they get crazy.
Clint, you're using one microphone for the room?
No, we have 7 individual microphones in front of all of us.
Okay, because we can hear you, but it sort of sounds like if you took out your phone and everyone's speaking into one phone. It's
Well,
the only
that's what
time we
happens
heard
with-
somebody say again.
So part of the problem is that's what, like, it works when you turn on one microphone at a time. When you have multiple on, you get that.
Okay, just speak up for whoever's speaking, that's all.
Trevor, these are very similar to the ones we just got for our parents meetings.
Oh, those big gooseneck things?
Yes.
Okay, anyway, just speak up.
I think a lot of it also really is the voices. Some voices are just more robust.
We can hear you, Susan.
Well, that's why I'm saying that. It's very robust out of the big mouth.
Sorry about that. I'm back.
Hi. Can you go back to the health? Don't remember which number that was. No, environment then? Yes, so flood and evacuation risk. I see that you mentioned the hurricane evacuation routes, and affordable housing. I'm just really curious about how that is being assessed now that we have a major resiliency project along, most of the coastline of this district. You know, I don't know how recently those maps have been updated. I know that, you know, our public housing that is close to the waterfront was in the flood zone. But I really want to know if there's any updated thinking about the level of risk there now that this resiliency project is in place.
I'll have to check uh the timing of the data that we have
Yeah,
to make sure that it represents current conditions.
right, because it probably does predate this, just like the flood evacuation zones would. But this project should be completed by the end of next year. And I would expect it to show improvement, in those spaces, but I'm not quite sure how they wanna talk about that, so. I'm just-
Mhm.
Just to note, even though we will have resiliency protection in place, if there is a hurricane, we will still have to evacuate.
Yeah, and I don't know if anyone can find out how far along Nature is with its own resiliency preparations on campus. Because there's also work going on there in addition to the work that the York is doing. And yes, that's my understanding is that if you live in one of those spaces, you will have to evacuate before their resiliency measures can be deployed.
Even after,
Yeah,
it does, in other words, the flood protection will be there, but if a hurricane is coming, everyone will still be under an evacuation order,
right.
even with the resiliency project, just because there's a hurricane.
Yeah, I will make sure to note what we have. I would presume that it does not account for this. So that we can at least, at the very least, provide that context about the projects that are underway.
Any other questions from anyone? Okay. All right, I feel like this was a substantive discussion, and thank you, Kaylee, for taking time out of your day, especially in a odd hour like this to join us. We really appreciate it.
Could we just talk like, as far as timeline, when do you think would be a good time for us to check in next?
Um, I owe you guys some results of some investigation we've been doing on our end about how best to pull off this interactive data web product part of it. So that I will be getting back to you guys on next week.
Okay.
And I think, you know, shortly thereafter, we can have the sort of first draft of the static version with sort of like the main storyline to share with you all within the next couple of weeks.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And you're getting us a revenue structure so we can pay you. I can't believe we have to do all that.
Yeah, I am, I guess, blissfully uninformed about all of that side of things. That's all Victoria, so I don't have anything to add for that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, we had to go to Office of Management and Budget, and they're requiring a revenue structure, which I guess every my office is talking to people there. It's just a lot more difficult than we all thought.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I was
Yeah.
hoping it would be straightforward given our
It's because you're actually a city and agency, and
uh-huh.
it's easier to pay an outside vendor than it is for one agency to pay another agency.
Mhm. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, unfortunate. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Thank you guys. It was nice to sort of kind of meet you. Thanks for your thanks for your feedback.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night, Kaylee.
You too. Bye.
And if I could just mention one thing, I should have put equity report as number 1 on the agenda. So Molly, could you just, I see you've been taking notes, that should have been number one, and then the next, everything will be moved down in number.
Just, approve the,
Well, no, I'm sorry, the proving minutes should be number one,
correct,
and then
You
number
have it right,
two,
actually.
I have it.
She has it right,
Yes.
and it has equity report there?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
presentation of work on equity report.
Okay, so the ones that printed out unfortunately are different, but that's good, I'm glad you have the right one.
Okay. Okay, moving on, to along the agenda, we have a couple of resolutions that we're looking at. They are time sensitive, so, bring them through executive committee. They're also unusual for any other committee to go through, so. You want, yeah,
Sure.
you wanna?
Okay, so there's two resolutions. They're on the back pages. They were supposed to be coming up for a vote, committee vote in city council on the 29th. However, they changed it, so it's the 22nd now. So I will be there. This is Monday. What I'll have to say, when I talk about board position, I'll have to say that the executive committee voted on it, but our full board will be voting the next night. However, I will also be testifying for myself as many of the 59 district managers, many board chairs. A lot of people are sending in testimony. I want to encourage everyone that would like to do that to send in testimony. So the first resolution is a law that would give council members the power to directly appoint community board members. Currently, the borough president appoints 50%. The other 50% is shared by the council members in the district. We have two, so they each have 25%, but they don't appoint, they recommend. And and all the appointments are done by the borough president. In the 20-some years I've been in this job, I remember one time when an appointment recommendation was not kept. So this resolution, by the way, both of these resolutions, a lot of boards are doing this. I actually got it from board 5 to use as a base. I changed a little bit, but none of the main points. And then board 1 called me and now they're doing the same thing. So you're going to see a lot of very similar resolutions. Should I read through it and then people can ask about any points? Would that be a good idea?
Sure.
Okay. Whereas intro 322 would amend the New York City charter to split community board appointments. Actually, I'm not sure it's a New York City charter. I'm going to say it would amend the community board appointment process. Authority between the borough presidents and council members, with borough presidents appointing 1/2 of the board's membership and the council members sharing 1/2 of the board member appointments. And whereas the bill would alter the existing structure under which borough presidents are solely responsible for all community board appointments by giving council members direct appointing power over a portion of each board. Whereas CB3 is concerned that dividing appointment authority across multiple offices would introduce administrative complexity into what is currently a streamlined and centralized process. And whereas CB3 is concerned that without a single coordinating authority, the application, interview, and review process would vary significantly across council districts represented in the same board. And whereas because CB3 district spans more than one council district, the board would be subject to multiple appointing authorities rather than a single office responsible for the board as a whole. Whereas the existing framework already provides council members with the opportunity to put forth nominees, and CB3 is aware of only one instance in over 20 years where those recommendations should have not been appointed, which calls into question the necessity of this change. Whereas CB3 is concerned that council member offices may lack the dedicated capacity to manage the full scope of responsibilities that come with the formal appointment process. And whereas CB3 is concerned that shared appointment authority can make it harder to address representative diversity, commitment to a single reappointment policy regarding attendance, consistent standards for appointments, varied methods of recruitment, which may generate lack of equity in different communities and may make it more difficult to have objective standards not influenced by personal relationships. And whereas CB3 is concerned that this bill would leave board members with an unclear sense of who they are ultimately accountable to and should be so. Therefore be resolved that Community Board 3 opposes intro 322 and urges New York City Council not to pass this bill. So any thoughts, questions? What we didn't put in writing was the fact that it also terribly politicized the process. Like I worked on your campaign. How about it getting on the board?
Well, just a little bit, you know, we were talking about the one instance in over 20 years. So just a little bit about to clarify the language. CB3 is aware of only one instance in over 20 years where a recommendation was not appointed.
Where a recommendation was not, yeah, I forgot to put it
It's
in
one,
that
it was one time, right?
one time.
Okay,
I remember it specifically.
okay.
Any other comments, questions? Want to vote?
Yeah, so we just do a roll call vote.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Or-
yeah. What?
Do we have a? quorum?
It does, we vote anyway and just move it from the floor. Like we do at every committee, when it's not a
Okay.
quorum.
Like moving from the floor on Tuesday.
At the full board.
Yeah.
We do that whenever the committee doesn't have a quorum.
We don't actually vote, though, do we? We have
Yes, we always vote.
Well,
We always do.
We have an quorum.
Yes, we always do, Clint. We just did it in May's committee this month.
Service several times. Well, not this month, but
It's moved from the floor. It was David
It
Crane
is, go ahead.
devised that years ago.
I didn't do it and I can show you the minutes in our committee where we didn't do it, we didn't have a quorum, but I'm just,
Okay, well, the
it
other,
was wrong then, sorry.
okay. And you
I'm just saying, that's how we did it. I didn't know other committees did it differently, but move it from, let's go, vote.
Yeah.
There's no need to discuss anymore.
do we have like a minimum people to vote?
So we're just voting.
Do a roll call.
Andrea,
Yes.
Arnett, no. Diane, yes. Yeah. Vicky. Diane. Rod not here, Molly, yes, Kay not here, May. Yes. Yes. Molly's not here, Kate,
Yes.
yes, Trevor.
Not here.
Vincent not here, Tom.
So
Don't have one.
Kamala.
Yeah, don't call on him for votes. It's just Damaris is absent, and so. Why are so many people out?
It's a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Attendance doesn't matter.
Good point. Okay, I'll go to the second one, which is. The more one that I'm more passionate about. This is, opposition to proposed legislation. I'm gonna change the title. Whereas, intro 501, a proposed local law to amend the New York City chart. It's not New York City chart, so this is from Board 5. To amend, this is the, I'm gonna say, community board process to hire district managers.
Does the legislation say it's in the chart?
It's legislation, it's to amend, no, there is no legislation now.
Okay. No, but this intro is the legislation, so.
I copied that from Board 5. Yeah, so that's
There
true.
is-
Legislation, this is proposed local law. That would establish 4-year term limits with for district managers. Requiring community boards to reappoint district managers at the conclusion of each 4-year term. And whereas the proposed legislation would grant borough presidents the authority to remove district managers for one, failure to attend at least 50% of full board meetings in a calendar year. Two, failure to submit a cause to be submitted an annual report. And three, failure to submit a cause to be submitted an annual statement of community district needs. Both of which reports are generated by community board members and not within the authority of district managers to create. And whereas community board's ability to effectively represent its district relies on continuity and stability in district manager leadership, requiring a periodic renewal of the district manager position creates unnecessary uncertainty and impacts staff retention and institutional knowledge. And whereas the imposition of 4-year renewable terms would deter qualified professionals from seeking and maintaining the district manager position, as such employment and uncertainty is unattractive to civil service professionals and will result in the loss of experienced and effective district managers. And whereas community boards already possess the authority and procedures necessary to remove underperforming district managers, as district managers are subject to New York City tasks and standards should be provided by DCAS. And whereas proposed legislation represents a continuation of the erosion of community board and authority and independence by further reducing the board's control over its own operations and staffing decisions. This diminishment of community board authority may be a diminishment of a city agency authority, thereby creating the necessity of a charter revision. And whereas community boards serve as essential vehicles for local democratic participation and local control legislation, that I'm trying to see if this makes sense. I did copy this real fast this afternoon. That our serve as essential for democratic and local control. Oh, and legislation that undermines the board's independence and authority weakens the foundation of community-based governance in New York City. Therefore, be it resolved, Community Board 3 opposes intro 501.
I'll just tell you something. So I'm looking at the bill, the intro that's on the city council website. And it says a local law to amend the New York City charter. So this is one about 322.
It says that.
That's what it says.
I
to
did not
do
even
in
read
relation
that.
to giving council members the power to make appointments. And then it cites like the paragraph and subdivision and section of the city charter that it wants to amend.
So I'm understanding now, there are certain ways, sometimes you need a charter revision to amend the charter, and sometimes legislation, depending on what it is. Sometimes legislation can actually amend the charter. And where this point about undermining the authority of a city agency, that actually came from the borough president's office, because they're looking at the legality of it. And they think it may not be possible. They are going to fight and challenge this based on the fact that, as one of the things is that it undermines the authority of a city agency and therefore would require a city charter revision, not just city council legislation. So that original, you're right, so that original about the charter is correct. It would amend the charter, but without the necessity of a charter revision. It's, the commission.
So the content of the stuff is in the city charter somewhere, right?
It absolutely is. It says, it's a part about hiring, that the fact that the community board hires and fires at will for the district manager. Now we're saying, well, but now we're gonna let the borough president do it also.
So it's the same for 322 for the one that wants to give the. It's also.
Yes, about the charter, you're correct. So there's 2 points in this. One, a borough president that has no line of authority whatsoever to come in and fire a staff. And it's the funny thing is, it's for specific criteria only, And two of those things, like this board hasn't done an annual report in, let me see, about 8, 16, 17 years. So I could get fired for that.
Is that required anywhere else? I mean,
It's in the charter, requires it.
Oh, it is required anywhere.
Absolutely, I tried to get the board to do it. Scott Stringer used to require it, so for 8 years, this board did annual reports. I have periodically tried to get done, because I think they're very good, you have goals for every committee and that kind of thing. But anyway, so one of the reasons he or she could fire me is because the board, and that makes no sense. But there's no authority there, the borough president shouldn't be able to do that. The other thing is hiring someone for 4 years, you're never gonna hire anyone.
They're just gonna be looking for their next job. It's just a stepping stone.
Not that it's relevant necessarily to our resolution, but are there any other positions in the city?
There are, I did not know that there are nothing like office type positions.
That's what I mean, not like, yeah.
It's like, I think PEP officers, I found out have year contracts. I just found out, park enforcement posts,
Wow, they have all these 4 years.
1 year contracts.
Wow.
And I don't know if that's just a lower level, I assume it's just a lower level of PEP. I never knew that this existed in the city. But I don't think any professional staff that, it's ridiculous.
So this is presumably district manager under these rules could be reappointed at every 4 years. It's
But-
not a term limit in the sense that you've served for 4 years, now you must.
Correct.
But it does create this point in time where the board could rally around getting rid of the district manager, and then there's these other issues that could involve our president.
Well, you would have to hire. I don't think it would make any difference, because the board could fire a district manager if 50% plus one at any time.
Right.
So this would just make sure that there is a vote every 4 years. The board has that ability right now.
It also just gives us one more thing we have to deal with to do.
Pardon?
It just adds one more thing to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the board can't do an annual report, how are they gonna like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just another point of contention that don't come up.
I mean,
in
you're
4
not
years.
gonna hire people, like assistant district manager, that's a stepping stone position. You look at district managers, they've all been there years and years. This isn't gonna affect me. I'm not gonna be here in 4 years. I'm way too old for that. So it's not personal in that sense, but it's very insulting. So it's not gonna pass. One person, one council member proposes, there's not one single
Who
sponsor.
proposed it?
Her name is Natasha Williams, and she is deputy speaker. And we all assume that she had a fight with the district manager, but no one knows. She does not have not one single more council member, but we have to go there and say this is wrong. And as last week, there was over 20 people signed up already at the council.
The other one was introduced by a Republican city council member from Staten Island.
Pardon?
The other one, the 322.
The other one actually has 26 sponsors, it might go through.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it does have a lot of sponsors on both sides.
Well, I can see where council would. I mean,
Yeah, right, yeah.
It takes a tremendous amount of time to do that work. That
Well,
they're
they
not
don't
gonna,
realize that, I'm sure.
that they're not gonna be able to do, but to me, it's the consistency and standards, like. If you live in the East Village, the standard to be appointed is gonna be very different if you live in the Lower East Side, and what. The borough president is doing now, his process is he takes all applications, takes the names off, and has each of them reviewed by 3 different. He has this group of people from various nonprofits. And they each review each one and give it a weight, and the highest ranked ones go through for interviews. So it's an objective process where no one sees the name. You can't do that for half of them and then not do it for the other half. It isn't.
That's true too. Yeah, how is that? I'm sure you don't have an answer, but how is the like right now? the whole process and the group interview and all that stuff, how would all that happen? Like right now, when you reapply or if you're applying as a new member, they have the group interview, you know, they do that and then
Well,
and everyone
that's
is the same. How would that happen?
That's what we're saying in the resolution,
That's a very
right?
good
It's gonna be different.
How could that,
It's gonna be different in each one person, one council member will count attendance, another one won't.
yeah,
And I can just see people that have more connections or, you know, it's gonna be an equity issue, I think.
yeah.
And this, I mean, this depends on you being able to promote yourself to a city council member.
Yes.
Now, I was not appointed by a city council member, I was appointed by the board president. I'm not good at promoting myself, to this day I am not. And, you know, I would never have been appointed if it were a city council member, even that I knew about at the time, you know. So, because I, you know, don't do that, but, you know, so,
Yeah, people's
yeah, I
connections.
will, yeah, so you have to have a connection.
I'm just curious about those like this 4-year term limit for district manager, this proposal, I just. Cause district manager is not a position we elected. But I just curious, like for the city, among all the city public position, is there any other position have a term limit?
Well, it's really like a contract. And this is what we're just saying there, what I've just discovered, there are a few that I've discovered that have contracts like this, and one of them is like Parks Enforcement Police have a year contract. And I think in the schools, I don't know if it's custodians, I think there's some positions, but
They're also
I,
in a union,
what?
they're also in a.
Yeah, so that's another thing. And the other thing, just sort of totally separate from all of this, I've mentioned you, district managers are unionizing. I've heard over 80% of the district managers have signed on to become union. So I don't know what that would do to us, because right now you could be fired, I could be fired at will, but I assume that you still have to have some kind of due process. I don't know what the union would do to that. I didn't sign on to a union. I'm not gonna be here for 4 years. You know, none of it's gonna affect me. It's just, like I said, it's a real lack of acknowledgement of our work. That's how I feel about
Not to keep your, kind of belaboring this point, but do you know if maybe like the citizens union has a position on this? Or like the good government group?
No, no one's ever talked to any of them.
Right.
I don't know that they even know what community boards are. I know they exist, but
Yeah,
you know, a lot of people like to weigh in on community boards who've never been to a meeting in their life.
yeah, well, they're government.
Yeah.
Government experts.
Yeah. As far as I know, they're not. I know the borough presidents are collectively fighting this.
Yeah. Okay. On both bills,
I believe both bills,
okay,
but I know for sure the district managers.
okay,
You wanna vote?
let's do another roll call vote.
Andrea,
Yes, yes.
Arlen, not here, Diane, did I read right?
Yes, yes, and yes.
Rob, not here, Molly, yes, Kate, not here, Lane,
Yes.
yes, and Mary's not here, so.
Yes,
Not vote, but this is not this.
Okay, great. Okay, moving on to board chair report, I'll keep it short this year, I didn't need a second copy today. I'll keep it short, I have, just some news to give you all, which is that, I am now the executive director of a national union. And so this will be my last month as chair. So I'm working with Arnett to pass the baton on. Which means that, either in July or, no, I'm sorry, September,
July.
we'll have to have a special election for second vice chair.
I think the bylaws say July. But they say
I
the
think it
next-
depends on when I resign.
Well, I don't know exactly.
I can resign later if you wanna do it in September. Cause we like don't meet in August, right?
Well, it seems kind of silly to vote on some, and replacement for Diane in September,
Well,
or
just 2 months.
July or September, and then have an election in November.
But we do have, I mean, by those days we have to do it, right? We can't.
Well, but it seems, but that's why Andrea is saying she could just resign.
But it would still be a vote in September, right?
No,
If you.
not if she resigns in September.
Oh,
No, I thought it was like, let's say July 1st.
Is there anything in the bylaws that say that?
I think it has something to do with the timing. I'd have to double check.
Because I looked at the bylaws and I didn't see.
Or it's like
anything.
immediate, like we have to just call a vote.
This is what I read in the bylaw. I checked on it like an hour ago. I think it used to say if it was a certain number of months that you could let it be empty. But I think that was taken out for some reason.
See if I can find it.
No, it's under about.
So we'll need to schedule it during a full board meeting, right? It wouldn't happen. Okay, sorry, an officer may resign from their office at community board, they will be deemed accepted upon. Sorry, I made it stupid, in the case of any vacancy, except for the board chairperson, a successor to fill the unexpired. Term shall be elected by the full board, the board chairperson shall announce the open position at a full board meeting following a vacancy, so following a vacancy.
So,
Right,
so
so,
you announced it.
So anytime you actually resign.
yeah,
at
it's
the-
at the next full board meeting,
It's announced,
okay, got it.
sounds like, right?
What do you mean?
Well, it says the board chair shall announce the vacancy
Yeah,
at the next full board meeting. So-
Yeah.
And then the vote would be at the one after that.
So if you wait till after this full board to resign.
yeah,
In the July meeting is when,
when we need to have a special.
what
Yeah.
it says, that's when it's
No.
announced.
Oh, okay, got it.
Right.
And then the next election would be the next
September.
meeting, which would be September.
Right.
But again, I think what you were saying is, it seems odd to have an election in September and one again in November, basically. But I don't know if there's any way around that, based on the bylaws.
I don't know, and maybe that's something to ask John at the borough president's office.
Okay,
Can the exec and full board vote to exempt from the bylaw because of the 2 month?
Or, and I'm just speaking out loud here. If you just didn't show up to the July meeting, you know, you were absent for the July meeting. And then you resigned in August.
You can't resign in August, there's no vote.
Well, it has to be, well, no, she could resign any time. The board, then the chair would have to announce it at the next meeting. So if you didn't come to the July meeting and hadn't resigned yet. Or now now would chair the meeting, but you would still be chair. And you resigned after the July meeting, it would be announced at the next full board meeting, which would be
September.
September.
And then you'd have an election in
Well,
October.
but I wonder if because of that, it could be put off into another, like, because of that, it would be.
It's the exact same thing, it's a question of whether it's 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months.
It says, in case of any vacancy in any office except the board chair, except the board chairperson.
Yeah, that's what you just read, it says the next board meeting.
No,
State-
a successor to fill the unexpired term eligible to be.
So what I would suggest
Okay.
is before you announce your resignation, that you speak to John
okay.
and
got it.
see if the exec and the board can vote to an exemption because of the time. It should have been, that's actually something you shouldn't really put in the bylaws. It's just stupid to have an election
It is,
and then
but
another one 2 months.
whether
later.
it's September or October, doesn't matter.
Well, still to have an October and then another one.
Yeah.
No.
So you want me to ask the lawyer if the executive committee and
And-
board can vote to
Exempt
exempt?
the necessity for an election to replace the second vice chair. If, when there's gonna be a full election in another 2 months.
Okay,
So this is for the second vice chair. but,
Right.
okay,
Everyone else. moves
everybody
out.
else moves
Yes.
up. to the balance.
okay, got it. So yeah, I'll be working with Arnett to hand over all of
like just a smooth transition, but if any of you all wanna like discuss anything with me, now is the time before I travel and do things, yeah.
Okay, so one of
This is
the,
fine.
she's on human services.
I'm sorry?
Okay, so she would no longer be on human
She's
services.
aware of that, yeah.
Okay, so I got you. Okay, so-
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll be traveling a lot with the new position, I assume. Is that-
Yes, yeah.
So you came as executive
Yes.
director.
So people are not speaking into mic.
Well, but there's.
Trevor's on here,
That, this is,
okay.
we didn't turn it off, did we?
No, but Trevor's not here, there's no one. there's
It
no one
doesn't
here.
matter.
Okay.
This is, open meeting law. We have a meeting.
We
Okay.
don't normally though.
What?
I thought we just did it for that presentation, because we don't.
Yes, we did. That is the reason we did it, but it's still, you can't just have a meeting for a presentation. It's on we had to put it on the agenda. You either have a full meeting and anybody can be on, or you're either hybrid or not.
Much so on.
And actually, we just discussed this at the,
I mean,
Um,
they've all been multiple on, so Trevor wasn't here anyway, so it wasn't working.
but it's gonna be recorded.
I know,
It's gonna
it
be
is.
recorded and posted. This is actually just discussed, the borough president and, his lawyer, actually, it's Marielle and John, who is the lawyer, have once a month drop-in sessions now that are mostly district managers and chairs, and these kind of, specifically, these kind of questions come up all the time. And it just came up at the last month that once you're having a meeting, it has to be open and it has to be for everyone.
It still was.
has to be open. Yeah, I have a question. Are you gonna resign from the board?
I think so, I think I can be a public member though, yeah. I'm scared of the level of commitment, but yes, I'll,
I don't know. Are you sure the chair's gonna appoint you as a public member?
I don't know, we'll see, I'll have to ask her. But yeah, that's all I have for this month, but I'll be available for Arnett like throughout July to like support her in the transition.
You're staying.
I'm
New
still
York is your
living
place.
here, I just
Still-
have to like
you're
open
still
offices
traveling.
in California.
Yeah.
And I just be there a lot. So,
There's a lot of trouble.
yeah,
Sure.
okay,
Congratulations.
thank you, it's been a journey being here, I learned a lot, made a lot of friends and learned a lot from all of you, especially Susan, so. I won't be that far, and if you guys need me, I'll obviously be here. Yeah. But yeah, we have a lot of other things to discuss, we have new members, and many other things, so. I know, that's why I was like, I'm gonna not speak that much.
Yeah, there's a lot of big stuff to go through.
Yeah.
My report, first of all, intake center. The intake center is opening August 1st as complete. Right now, they are bringing, because of the condition of the building on 30th Street, if somebody arrives late, they are bringing them here to sleep for the night, then taking them back there for intake. So they have DHS peacekeepers, they're referred to as DHS police, they're actually peacekeepers. Patrolling 3rd Street, 4th Street. People are aware of the activity. And people are commenting a lot on the activity, only in opposition. We have 20 people signed up to speak at the public session for Tuesday night. One person lives on 28th Street, one person lives on FDR, so it's clearly not gonna impact them in any way, but they have strong feelings. So our rules, which I have explained to people, 4 per session. People signed up for announcements, and we have emailed back to each of them saying this is not an announcement. It's speaking on one side of an issue, and there will be 4 people. So this is something I think the exec has to decide. One group was gonna pick 4 people, and I said, you can't do that because there are people you don't know that have signed up. So ordinarily, we would do the first 4 people. But I would like to suggest that we do the first 4 people that either live in CB3 or the first 4 people within a 10-block radius or something like that, but I think that's something you need to decide tonight. How do we pick the first 4 people?
I think it should be the people that live there, right?
Well, are you saying like within even a 10-block radius, it's very broad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, so what do you want to do? Do you want, I mean, how narrow do you want to make it?
but I wanna say a 5 block radius. The first 4 people that live within a 5 block radius.
Yes. That sounds
Does
reasonable.
that sound?
How many people are you expecting to sign up?
Well, we've already had 20 people. I don't know
Okay.
if more. And I did promise them
Is that
all the
20
other,
total?
I did promise them all that all the other names would be read off as signing up in opposition,
That, is that 24 and against or all in opposition?
all in opposition.
Okay,
It'd be really nice if somebody spoke up for it, but, you know, people don't generally, I mean, there's no reason to. There's nothing happening now to make that happen. So that takes care of that. Also on that,
Susan, do you feel like that's possible for you to do?
to
To
do what?
narrow it to,
I'm not doing it, the executive committee is doing it.
okay,
I'm happy, you know, can I?
no, I
go-
think she'd
Oh,
asked you.
physically, absolutely, I have the sign up forms.
okay,
We have a folder of sign up forms, so we'll
Yeah,
just go
yeah.
by date, we'll look at the date and we'll pick the first, yeah, absolutely, we
Okay.
can do that.
Okay.
I
So,
just wanna know if that was even too broad.
no, it's very easy to do, it's not a problem at all. The other thing is I've had people in the, this is just sort of an FYI. I've had people in the office and people emailing me because they want to be on the cab. And they're very incensed that they're not. And, you know, I'm just trying to explain that the community board has community board members on the cab. Council members each get 2, and, you know, many people want to be on. So I just explained that. And then I will tell you an incident that happened. I had a DHS peacekeeper come in. He was trying to be very nice. He's patrolling. And he was patrolling 4th Street. He came in to say hello, make sure everything was okay. And I must say he's a really big guy in a bulletproof vest. I've never seen anyone patrolling our area in a bulletproof vest, and it was very intimidating. And I'm not personally intimidated, but it's a very intimidating sight. And he told me he's been going into, you know, the stores and places, just introducing himself. And I said, great, that's really nice. And then he told me that someone complained about people smoking crack under the scaffolding, so he got rid of them. And I said, how did you get rid of them? Where did they go? And he said, down the block. And I said, how is that helpful? And he really didn't, he said, well, someone complained and said it was bothering the customers in the store. But the only scaffolding here is on the back of Jess, and that's where, you know, the crackheads, that's where people smoke crack. So I don't see how it could possibly be in the main store. But I thought it was very upsetting and certainly not what we see in our neighborhood. So I called DHS and kind of complained about this is not what we do in our neighborhood, and why are people walking around bulletproof vests? And I was told they have to protect themselves, and I said, what? You know, so about an hour later, 2 higher level DHS police came in to ask me about the incident, and this, you know, I explained that the person who came in was very polite, he was a perfect gentleman and all that, but what he described was not, one is just not productive, moving someone down. I said, if someone's committing a crime and you're arresting them for a crime, you know, that's one thing, that's the law. But if you're moving them down the block because you don't like what they're doing, that first of all, it's probably against the law, because you can't tell people that they can't be in the sidewalk. So then after that, I now am getting emails from a resident saying that the DHS, that they're trying to speak to the DHS police, the DHS police won't speak to them, which I'm assuming is because of my interaction. But I stand by the way we act in this neighborhood. And I did keep DHS apprised of everything that was going on, and actually was very helpful because they reminded me, which I'd forgotten, that I can give anybody a phone number and email that is active now with any questions about the intake center. So I think that's really a good tool to have, and that's what I'm gonna do from now on. And I think even at full board, I'm gonna give out that information if anyone has any problems. This is where to do. The cab is July 8th. It will be a hybrid in this office. And that's it on that issue. So how do you guys feel about the issue of people walking around with bulletproof vests and moving people?
Well, I always think of ice, you know, but they weren't even the, you know, that's,
Yeah.
but yes,
Yeah.
that's, but then you look at them and they don't have the ice stuff, but
No,
still,
they're
it's not.
not ice.
No, but that's what people
That,
think,
it's
yeah.
that
It's that,
People,
yeah.
people think they're police. They look like police. And it says DHS, but people mistake them for police. They don't mistake them for ice.
No, I'm not saying that, but it's just what's.
it's
It's what in your mind.
the feeling they're creating is,
Well, I guess what I'm asking is, do you guys support me in what I did?
I think what you did fine, you
Uh-huh.
weren't, you weren't even saying anything again, I mean, you were. Your issue is with, you know, moving the people, you didn't say or do anything about them being there, even if, you know, sure, them being in bulletproof vests is probably unnecessary.
Oh, we want
Okay.
I want DHS peacekeepers here. I just don't want them in
Yeah.
bulletproof vests moving people around.
But I mean, bulletproof vests is whatever, but it's not, but it's what they're doing is probably well, not, it's probably is unnecessarily not helpful, but the bulletproof vest things, is it necessary? Probably not, but I don't know as far as
But
that.
that wasn't, you know,
And I know that's not your
that's
point.
not my,
Your point was
yeah,
what they
that's
did,
not
yeah.
my complaint was. My
what
complaint
they
was
did.
moving, how is it helpful in any way whatsoever to move someone from one part of the block to another? My constant issue with the city is that they keep moving people around and dealing with symptoms when people complain, but they're not taking care of the problem.
What are the peacekeepers supposed to be doing? Like, do they have a mandate or a set of instructions?
So that, I think we're gonna have to bring that up in the cab. I think it is to deal with people who are at the center. But I think, and if they're patrolling, that's fine, because you don't want people from coming to the intake center hanging out on Fourth Street. And you can tell them if they're there for intake, they have to, you know, be there in intake. That's different than moving some around. The intake center is not open, so nobody here is associated with the intake center now. But as far as what they should be doing, people appreciate patrolling, police patrolling. No one's asking them not to, but I suspect it's to keep, I mean, they're here because of the intake center. I would suspect it's for the intake center. But, you know, I think that has to be a question of.
And I guess maybe this question for the cabinet, since the intake center isn't open, why are they here already then? Is that,
And I don't know. It could be because they're bringing people here at night, although why would people be here during the day? I don't know. Maybe it's to get to know them. I don't know what it is. And I don't even see that as a problem.
oh, I don't see it as a
Yeah.
problem, just wondering, like,
Yeah.
that's.
I don't know. So anyway. I would like to know that I have some support or not in what I do, and if I leave that.
Yeah, I think you should, you did the right thing.
Yes, we should be questioning what's happening,
Yeah.
and yes, we support the general idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and not moving
Yeah,
people
but
around.
they're doing
Yeah,
specifically.
Exactly.
Yeah, not moving people around. I mean, that's. It seems to be a city
Well,
policy.
again, it's.
That does not work.
I think the root of what it is, it's not addressing the problem.
Yeah.
That's what it is, it's.
Yeah, what I said to him, how is that helpful? So, so I told you about the speakers. There's going, I have down here, see,
I have a question about the speakers now, I thought about something, and I probably should not even bring this up, but. If there's no one,
are you speaking into my?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
if there's no one in support,
There's no on
should we let should we let?
that's not our rule.
I know it's not, if we let four again.
It's a policy, that is a long-standing policy, that, I don't remember if we voted on exec made it, but it has also been on our website every month for years. For, again, you can have only for and only for against. There are many times when you don't have equal numbers of full for, and we have never given that spot away. So I think it's, it's being consistent in what we've been doing every year. I have down here, CABO is gonna give an announcement, and I can't remember what CABO, but, I can look it up in my emails. It's gonna be something that was important, that it's gonna be like more of a 5-minute type, presentation during public session. And I'll have to remind myself what CAB is. I might have, I'm sure I copied you in it. I always
You
copy.
did,
I always copy you when
remember.
these things happen. Maybe search for
I'm-
public session.
Okay, better public meetings, NYC.
Oh, that's what it is. Is it public
The civic
engagement?
engagement people?
Yeah.
No, wait. This is from, they came, this was Benjamin
Oh,
Solitaire.
yeah. So it's something for this one.
Okay, someone is coming, I don't know what it. I don't see anything.
Okay, I'll go on. I'll look that up. For July, we usually meet at Cooper Union because, PS20 is an air condition, however, we can't use. Cooper Union, they're doing work, so we will be meeting at IS 131. Which is on Hester Street.
The school?
The school.
Over.
What?
Yeah, and that's 131.
Yeah.
When, oh.
What?
No, I thought we were gonna.
All of a sudden, usually we meet in Cooper Union in July.
Okay.
But they're doing work, so we can't meet there, so we're gonna be meeting at IS 131, because PS20 is not air conditioned. So we'll be meeting in 131.
And they have air conditioning.
And because of the money we have, they'll have Zoom, the June and July full board meetings also. I had coffee yesterday with Danielle Zuckerman, who is Borough Commissioner for DOT. She requested to sit down with me, and I thought she was gonna yell at me because I've been so upset with them. But she didn't. I guess it was to get on the same page and be more collaborative. And I spoke a lot about how the management of outdoor dining really just doesn't work. They're short of inspectors. Certainly will advocate for more. I also talked about how difficult it is to work with them because it used to be that the borough commissioner would be in charge of everything in the borough. But now they have every different division. They have public space, they have open streets, they have outdoor dining, and each one is a totally different division. And she's not in charge of them. So very difficult to get information. It sometimes takes us months to get an inspection. She did ask me to include her in whenever there was a problem like that. I also complained about, we 2 or 3 weeks ago, we did a walkthrough on Orchard Street. And then I was told that they gave violations after that, and I asked for a list of the businesses that got violations, and I was told we don't generally give out that information, which was very upsetting since it's public information and we're a city agency. So she said that I should have that information to. So, make things, a lot of it is like they've created a very bad system. But hopefully this will make things a little bit better. I'm not sure who knows that Claire resigned. Does people know that? Our assistant district manager, she does not have another job. She is going to continue freelancing for us. She does not want to come in the office. That is one of her issues, is commuting. So she will work remotely. Tomorrow will be last day, which is a vacation, which is a holiday. And then starting Monday, she'll be working remotely for us as the pay, she will be paid as a consultant. She has also said like, there are 2 days in August that, Marshall will be out and she'll come in, will come in on those days. I have interviewed, I didn't get a lot, it's funny how every time I interview, the response is so different. So this time I broadened, it's not just looking for urban planning because there's not that much planning anymore. And this is, other boards have stopped trying to get planners. So we did, posting at Handshake, which is, different schools, universities, but we broadened it to public administration, and different kind of public, civic, service type jobs as well as planning. More of the, resumes I'm getting are more people who've gotten their bachelor's, but some of it's relevant and some of them have had some other experience. I have not gotten a lot. And that's posted on our website and it's posted also on the city website, which is where you get most of them. And we put in, instructions in the posting, that you must submit a resume and a cover letter. And you must send it, gives my email. So many people, it's just amazing, people that don't follow directions. Like, I have a number of people that I really felt qualified for an interview, but they sent no cover letter. I thought, I'm not even gonna interview someone. One, they're not following instructions, and who applies for a job without a cover letter? So I'm narrowing the interviews to people that at least know how to follow instructions. I've interviewed 3 people, that I think are very all, being flexible. I think they all could be viable, but I would have definite rankings. But I've interviewed one person I absolutely think is incredibly terrific. So I'm waiting to get his references, and I have another interview set up for next week. And right now, those are the extent of the interviews, but usually applications come in for a while. And once they come in through the city website, I can't access, I have to, like, once a week, go to the borough president's office and send it to me. So that's the situation there. Claire is also continuing management of the district needs, and has everything updated that can be updated before the end of the fiscal year. So that's that. I just want to talk about minutes. It's really, I can't emphasize how busy it is and how many different things that's going on in here. And it's really difficult. And some of this is my fault because I've been very accommodating here. I'll take care of this for you. I'll take care of that for you. But I cannot be responsible for any section of the minutes. And then when minutes are in the office, I've always sent them to the person. The next day, I'm now going to ask you if you will email them to yourself. Because just me remember, like, tomorrow's a holiday, I'm going to be out Monday, just remembering to even do something like that. I don't remember. So I'm going to ask whenever someone takes minutes at a committee, any committee, including the exec, if you will send them to yourself, to fix. Sometimes people finish the minutes here, which is fine if we're here, but I don't want to stay here and wait. It's so many people are not doing the minutes. I had to fix minutes myself for a couple of committees this month because it became easier to do than we have. And it sounds like I'm being really picky on procedures, but when you have so many different things going on, we really need procedures. And you really need to present on procedures. And our office is incredibly procedure driven. That can't deviate at times. But in order to get things done, it has to be. Ed cannot get things last minute. He can't do everything last minute. He was sick this morning and came in several hours late, and there was still all this work to be done. So I'm just asking people to please you know, I know not everyone is procedure driven as I am, but it really works, and I'm just really asking people. And if it's a procedure that doesn't work at all, let's talk about how maybe we can change it so that it will work for you. But it can't be just something that I'm thinking about or that I'm responsible for. So I hope it's taken well.
Yep.
And I can't tell you, like, it doesn't get anything, like, there was one committee, he said, I'm missing this, and I said, no, you're not. I know it came in, and he said, no, it didn't, and so I went and looked and said, oh, they never sent it to you. Don't send it to me to send it. Ed gets all the minutes, he takes the resolutions out, he creates that yellow vote sheet from that. Everything has to be there, and I should not be touching these things. So it's just a simple little thing like that. So, that's it, that's all my report.
Also, Susan, the email you sent about how to take minutes is very, very helpful.
Thank you. I actually found that on our website. I think I sent it to everybody here. It was how to, and because generally people write way too much. Make it easier on yourself. You don't have to, and like, and when I'm gonna say, generally we don't have, oh, I did buy Otter, and I have to learn how to use it so that we could take minutes without being on Zoom. And, you know, that'll give us a transcript. So if we ever need information other than this is what was discussed and the to-dos, you know, we'll have that. So, you know, by next month, I should learn how to use it.
So we don't need, the minutes it should not be a transcript.
It never should be a transcript. What was discussed, like for this one, the CUNY presented their draft, you know, basically that's what you need. But I think that's it. Oh. Keep thinking. That's it.
Okay, all right, next is the committee member designation process.
I'm sorry, I'm going to pass around also, just for transparency, the budget as it stands today. Next month, it'll be after the fiscal year, and every year in July, I give you a printout of everything that was spent. I was not happy that, the role of, you know, our budget and how we use the budget and transparency and all that was not understood, at a full board meeting last year. There is complete and 100% transparency on the budgets, and I don't want people saying their stuff. Okay, so for the committee member designation. So I have finished as of now, as of about 3 hours ago, getting all the information from every new member. I now have applications. It took a while to get the applications. I also have committee requests, and I have gone through and made some notes. So this is just very broad, sort of FYI. Human Services, 3 members, that is number 1. These are the new members. Land Use, 3 people, that is number 1. And I know Damaris said she wants more public housing, and one of them is a public housing tenant association president. 1 new member is looking for transportation and 1 for parks. We also have 4 members that have requested committee changes. And I'm going to just say in picking when they're assigned all together so that the committees work. There really needs to be representation. Some committees, geographical representation is important, and so transportation and SLA. It is really important to have different areas represented. It is really important to have diversity of people and viewpoints on every committee. They've got to be balanced. We have like a one committee, practically a voting block, and with changes requested, it would be even more so. I don't know if anybody here, we had a former chair once who had an EEO proceeding against her for, I think it was actually racism in committee chairs. It's not a new thing. And it was ugly, and it was just a very ugly, and it was very public, and it really tore the board apart, you know. It was ironic because she just had inherited all the chairs. And the executive committee in itself was diverse. But it is important, it just really is important. And I just urge that when you assign everybody, that you look at the diversity in many ways, age and all that kind of stuff. So I now have packets for each new member. And what I would like to do is, I think the easiest thing to do is to scan all these and send them to all of you. To look at, because the applications actually tell about who they are, where they live, how they identify, their resumes are also here. It would be really good to have people appointed before the first committee, which is what, July 8th, is it?
It's Thursday, I think this is the 9th, whatever the Thursday.
Yeah,
is.
you have the.
Oh, July
the
9th.
agenda's right.
Right, July 9th. July 8th is Wednesday, that's when we have that CAP thing, right?
Oh, yeah, July
Yeah,
8th
so
is the cap.
the first committee, human services. is the
So,
first committee, not
It's been done in various ways. There's nothing written down, although I think I'm really committed to getting, because of terminals, getting everything written down. So I think it would be really good to create a process. There have been times when chairs have done it without talking to committee members. You remember when that happened? And I can say committee chairs are, the bylaws just say the chair does it, and I would say the committee chairs are really pissed when that happened. There have been times when we kind of all sat down together and looked at everything and kind of apportioned people out, and then looked at each committee and said who needs what. Possibly we should be able to do that on Zoom. You know, as long as everybody already has all this information. But it's really up to you, and when you find it convenient for at least the chairs and vice chairs, I would say.
Chairs and vice chairs to,
Chairs of the committee
Yeah.
and chair and vice chairs of the board.
okay,
I mean, I don't see why the secretary and chairs wouldn't have to do.
right, okay.
I think it is helpful, you know, because I've been a committee chair for a number of years, and I think it is helpful, for us all. Yeah, I think it would be helpful for us to, you know, sit together. It can be on Zoom, it doesn't have to be in person, where we just, I don't know what. You know, discuss everything out and see what the needs are of the committee of, and you know, and make decisions about who's gonna go where.
Okay,
It has helped us in the past.
should we schedule one out?
I think would probably be a good idea.
Okay,
And then I'll have to make sure that the other chairs can, schedule something, and then.
should we start by looking at the agenda or for next?
Well, do you want to do it, like, let's pick a time first, like. I assume during the day is not good, but is 5 o'clock good? Would people be able to do it at 5? Like, when is that too difficult? 5:30?
Yeah, that's fine.
6?
I generally work till 6:37.
Oh, really?
So
Where have you worked?
I can make it to whatever.
You want to do it on a weekend?
No, I mean, do it whenever and I can make it work.
Let's say 6.
I mean, if you want to do it earlier, I can do it. I just won't go home and do it.
Want to make it 5:30?
Sure.
Okay, I'm gonna. Look on calendar. Oh, so.
Yeah, kind of.
I mean, July's pretty empty at the moment, so.
Well, but we wanna do it before here. So what's July 4th? Is it 6? Is this the?
Most places I think are doing the third as the holiday, but
Really? Well, is that illegal? Let me see what it is.
I think third is, I think third is the federal.
Alright.
I think third is the federal holiday.
Yeah,
Well, that's the federal, so they say.
third is the.
No, it is the 3rd. It is July 3rd. It is the holiday, so I didn't even realize that.
So then,
And we have to have time to contact the members too, because what happens,
do we wanna do it the first?
because what happens with this early meeting is that they never go because
They
they
don't
don't
know,
know.
they don't know, yeah. Well, they'll be at this month's meeting, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but they won't know which.
Do you mean the new universe or who?
I mean, but yeah, the new owners will be at the student meeting, so we can,
Uh-huh.
but you mean as far as when they're appointed, if we're choosing an appointment.
So it always happens to us that, well, they found out about it too late, so they didn't go, and then they're absent.
July 1st is one of the Mount Sinai, well, 5 o'clock, if we did 5:30, it should be okay, 7 o'clock is one of the Mount Sinai focus groups.
I mean, I don't think it should take us a whole long time to go through them.
It's more, well, I think if people like kind of look at this stuff ahead of time, I also think it's more difficult than we think because you're shuffling around. And John, if you could tell, Damaris had mentioned, older, a current member that wanted to be on land use. But that they have to fill out a committee request form, and I don't have committee request form. And I've sent it out to everybody, so it's not like they don't have it, because after I sent it out, 4 people, immediately filled it out and sent it back to me. So you want to do July 1st at 5:30?
Sure.
So you're saying there's somebody who's on the committee now?
No, she said there's somebody
A
who
member.
she wants to put on someone who asked. Yes, a board member who asked to be on, and she wants that person, but they have to fill out a
I
form.
mean, I can make 5 o'clock work if that's the purpose.
That might be better, because if someone's at work, then they could just stay,
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll put out a Zoom to all the chairs. I'll include the secondary chairs. There are, so one of the, there are a number of people requested to be in economic development, and it's not meeting.
Is that the first choice or was that a second?
For secondary?
No,
First.
but I mean,
Like-
that was economic development was their first choice
For secondary committee.
for secondary committee. Oh, so they picked another one for the first committee.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, this is just secondary. Do you want to reach out to Ariana and ask, see if she still has time, because I know she travels a lot.
Yeah, I think she's at her wedding, but I can ask.
Don't ask her. Don't ask her.
I'll ask her on Monday. I'll make a note.
Next week.
Yeah.
It's like, excuse me, while you're getting dressed.
Yeah.
And finding your rings. But we have to talk about committee meetings.
Okay, I'll make a note. I'm just making it. Okay.
Okay, so the last thing is planning fellow proposals. And this year they actually did that in enough time. So we don't, and I'm gonna urge Molly to be our expert on this. Oh, I'm sorry, before we get to that, I have 2 things I just want to ask you. 2 people sent in requests to be on the agenda and to be for resolutions. One is a community petition request for default DNS based content filtering residential ISP routers. And the other one is for a petition to initiate community resolution calling for constitutional amendment to re-clarify the legal status of non-obscene pornography. So are you all okay with me just saying that this is not community board agenda stuff?
I don't know what that first thing is.
What was it? It was repeated again, the first one?
Very
It
technical.
was,
Community petition request for default DNS-based content filtering in residential ISP routers.
Very technical.
I mean.
It's
I-
about residential internet
I
service.
know what it
provider.
is, but what,
I
I don't
don't.
understand why we would,
So that's,
that's like,
without getting, so I just,
yeah,
I'm following procedure. This is
Yeah.
something unusual. I'm taking to the exact, this is something that we don't do.
yeah, and definitely. No, who would you deal with that first one? That's bizarre.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what it is, it's just not,
Did someone you know send that to us or just a random person?
Random person.
yeah.
So I'm looking for the planning
A former board.
proposals. What?
He's no longer on our board. Someone, he would know exactly what to do.
Well, we don't need to, we don't need to,
Yeah,
we don't need to go any further.
That's true.
I found it. Okay, so we have two people put in proposals for planning fellows. And the thing is, planning fellows are, let me tell you how planning fellows are picked. It's like a matching process, like interns with hospitals. So we put in proposals, we can put in two proposals. The planning fellows, Molly, who is a former fellow, who will correct me when I'm wrong. So then the fellows who are students in master planning programs or architecture related, they will rank what they want, and then it ends up with the matching. So you're actually pitching your proposal. You know, if nobody likes it, you're not gonna get anyone, you're not gonna get a fellow. We didn't get a fellow for several years, and then last year Molly wrote a proposal and we got one because she knew what kind of work people like, that kind of thing. It's 15 hours a week. They do not do it in the office, and it's September through May. And it has to be something that they can accomplish, one person, and that they have access to the materials. So I'm gonna read some of the proposals, and I'm gonna ask Molly, I'm gonna say you're our best expert here, and you can critique whether this is something possible, whether it's possible to get this information, whether you think this is the kind of proposal that someone would want to do. Okay, so one is a street network redesign for approach to Williamsburg Bridge. Critical look at the street network of narrow and one-way streets using DOT data available for traffic counts, vehicle crashes, pedestrian crossings, and accidents to better manage construction and reduce pedestrian conflict. That's one. Second one would be a master plan for street right-of-way infrastructure. Typical streetscape plans that take into account loading and unloading zones, bike parking, daylighting, containerization with empire bins and roadway and street parking. Third one is two more. Third one is create a permanent formalization of Orchard T open street with a new design that allows the street to perform better for all uses. And the last is better street and neighborhood connections to East River Park. Pedestrian improvements to Delancey Street as connecting corridors of green space from Clinton Street to East River Park. And pedestrian improvements from East 6th and 10th Street as connecting corridors of green space from Avenue D to East River Park. So, I don't know if you can comment on any of these. Are they doable? Are they not doable? Are they useful?
The last one
The
sounds
last one's.
doable and useful, except for the fact that. And I don't know if it really matters, but you know, the northern portion of 6th and 10th Street. aren't open yet, but we do know the bridges are gonna be there, so I guess the portion that's in the neighborhoods doesn't have to be tied to the connection, the finish of the park. It can still be just a
Doesn't
connection
need to
across.
be to all assistance for the, first of all, the report's not gonna be done till next May
Yeah.
to start with, so it won't be that long.
You know. There was a study of something very similar funded by, I believe, Carmen Rivera's office a couple of years ago. And the results of it didn't go anywhere. So it feels like that we might be rehashing somewhat what was done within that study.
So you think if I contact, I'm still in contact with Eddie, do you think if I contact Tiffany, he might know how to get it?
Trying to remember if it was before Eddie got there, but Katie would know.
Okay, I'm actually in touch with her.
I just
about
wonder
the
about, like,
references.
Yeah.
just wondering. Yeah, I'm just thinking about it too.
Yeah.
So I could certainly, and that was about connections to the East River Front.
Yes, enhancing the connections, so they looked at, those streets that approach the park, in the context of the updates, they talked about the Sixth Street Bridge, that's located worms. Bicyclists, better bicycle infrastructure, a lot of things, and just to be aware, so,
So many reports end up on the shelf.
yeah.
You mean it wasn't used, or? The report was finished, but it wasn't used.
Yeah,
I'll contact Katie.
I will say like the first one is doable, it's like a critical analysis, use some data. And the second, third, fourth one, if we wanna fellow like do this by themselves, they will not be able to create a plan or design, but what they can do is to do an analysis for the current condition and make a report on like what need to be improved. Then in the future, when we engage an actual planner or designer, they can refer to that. So that will be like how I would structure this. For the,
So it's like current conditions and needed improvements.
yes, but also I think the second, third and fourth one will be very good topic if we wanna engage a planning school, architecture school to make this to their study work, like one professor with 7, 8 students to do this together.
But this isn't for that. This
Right,
is-
I know, I
This
just
is
mean like,
only for a fellow 50 hours a week.
I mean, like, we can use this topic for something else.
Yeah, so any of these topics we might look at for, anything that we think was good for future consultants or, to some kind of student work. But, and what I do want to do right now is what is really feasible and good. And then, so let me then we had one other submission. Oh, you have to give that back to me. I think that's something to say, maybe not. No, it's not. If you'll give me 1 second, let me find it. Okay, this is 2 proposals. One is population projection and demographic analysis. And this would be, and I'm not sure if this is possible, and I'm also not sure if this is being already covered in the equity report. Which is to map low-income senior clusters in the board, identifying buildings at risk of losing senior housing covenants or lacking climate resiliency infrastructure such as cooling centers, functioning elevators. So do you think that's already being covered mostly in
It
the
sounds
equity report?
very similar to what,
That's what I
What
thought.
she said, yes.
And then there's one other. Socioeconomic displacement tracking. Analyze census tract data from 2010, and modern 2026 updates to map localized race, income, and rent types. Document legacy business loss, identify long-standing neighborhood storefronts on the avenues that closed post 2008 rent spikes, examine secondary emplacement, track high rents. This sounds like too much for us, for someone to do, right?
Yeah, what I only caught is the close of the storefront, is that one of the points?
Well, we have what storefronts, we already have from
Oh, okay.
another report, what storefronts are closed, are
Mhm.
vacant. We already have that. But this is, here, it's, so it's weird. I think this is just incredibly
addition?
large, the ambitious, that's why. Very well,
Yeah.
give that to.
We have to decide tonight.
No, we don't, we
Okay.
have to decide. I'm giving you this as a start, and we
Okay.
have to decide next month.
Got it, okay. Is there a chance more could come in?
Well, no, I
No.
don't think any of our board members, if they
Okay.
don't do it right away, are
Okay.
going to do it.
I make sense,
What?
I make sense up to you. These are too much.
They're just all too much, right? So what we should look at is, one, to see if I can get one of the reports, which will knock the other out. And then for the other ones, you're looking at, under the transportation one, three of those. How,
Transportation ones?
yeah, the first one I wrote, the first
Oh,
one I
right,
read
okay.
too. Those, I'm just talking about transportation ones. So that was a master plan for the street right of way, create a formalization. What does that mean? Of Orchard T Open Street. Do you know what that means? Anyone know?
I'm not sure about the Orchard T. I mean, I know the Orchard Open Street, I assume, but I don't know what the Orchard T.
Yeah.
Is that where they close it sometimes?
It's for the opens, I don't know what they mean, a permanent formalization of Orchard Open Street.
You like the letter T?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe that's a good one to follow up on and say, what do you mean by this?
Yeah, I mean, I could see where that might be something that could be useful, possibly, but
And the connections we're asking for the report. And then the redesign for Williamsburg Bridge. I feel like the DOT has done that a million times already. So get information on one and focus on the others. And that would allow, I think, probably to, so Molly, would you be willing again to like be able to, yeah, she knows how to write them up.
I feel like it's just from my experience, currently all the students were, most of them are interested in transportation stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought it's-
That, yeah, I thought so also.
Like, most of my planning, like classmates graduated in the past few years, like most of them working for DOT or transportation consulting. I hope that
Can we-
will be something they really want to do.
can we put them on something involving the delivery apps and that stuff?
What is it they could possibly do? That planning student, what is it that they could do?
Evaluating sites to
This is one person.
Yeah,
Last year, I wasn't very excited before. There was some fellow, they're very high level on like programming to write a full Apple file, full website for the community board.
It's not a bad idea either, but it's a little complicated. So there's so many. There's so much like regulation of our website and technical.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear what it was. What was that?
Molly brought up something about a fellow or someone doing like something online, right? Like
Yeah, like,
a.
to
They
write-
can't go on our website. It's New York City and you have to have security, be an employee and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I just know like last year there was a fellow for community board, she designed a full new website. Might not be the official website, but just be like a one.
So some boards choose not to use the city website.
God.
And they pay a lot of money and they do all the maintenance themselves. So we chose to have a city website, which is not the best by far, absolutely not. But it brands us as a city agency and everything is free, and if something happens, there's a problem, we call OTI. And the city technology. So that's why, and our website, you have to be a city employee, you have to be trained. And I don't do the website, the 3 people in the office have it done, they let me do the website. And we actually update our website every day.
Susan, I found that study that I was talking about, you don't need to reach out to Katie.
Oh,
I'll send it,
great.
I'll send it to you.
Super, thank you.
Thanks. Okay, all right, should we move on to committee reports?
Yep.
Okay, all right, transportation, Vinny's not here.
I don't think there was any.
Yeah.
website.
Clint,
nothing.
okay, Diane,
So we have 2 issues that we need to follow up on. One is that we have a presentation from the Sale 250 nonprofit about tall ship activities on the East River. And EDC made a surprise guest appearance and informed us that no tall ships will be allowed to dock at Pier 36, which means the whole thing's just gonna kind of bypass us. So Susan and Trevor are gonna be following up, trying to get a meeting together to get more details.
Looks like
on that.
Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, Tuesday or Wednesday. The other thing is we had a request to pass a resolution renaming the portion of Tompkins Square Park after Pearl Hunter. And we ran into a roadblock with Harold Hunter what? Because the Parks Department needs to weigh in on exactly what is the right word to describe a subsection of the park that's not a tennis court or a ball field. So they're coming back in July, and we're gonna work with Parks to clear that up, and then we should have a resolution in July.
Yeah, so we have them on the agenda, but Parks is doing the follow-up, right?
That's right, yeah, they have to come back and let us know what the options are. So as soon as we know that, we can polish off the resolution.
okay, sounds good, Nate,
We had a meeting, but we don't have anything votes for full board.
okay. Sorry to keep you here till the very bitter end, John, but I'll pass it to you.
John wasn't.
Oh,
But Molly could take you.
oh, okay, got it. Is there anything you want to share from the land use meeting? I'm sorry.
I'm just trying to remember what we discussed.
It was what we did a resolution, giving input into EDC on what we would like to see in the RFP for management of that 6 market. And was amazing for something that took so much work. It went through the committee in 2 seconds. I mean, after we read
Yeah,
it, everyone agreed.
Also, we have the CLT.
Right, presentation on community land trust.
Okay,
That's it.
great. All right, then we will, so do a roll call vote to adjourn. Yes, yes.
Yes.
Rob, Q, Molly, yes, Katie, absent, Lane,
Oh, yes, here.
okay. Yes, the now is not here. Clint,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
Charlie's not here, Vincent. Not here. And John, display, how John here?
John is not, no.
No, not here. That's it.
Thanks, everyone.